Wait, Janelle is actually taking legal action over Coyote Pass. Yeah, apparently she is making moves that nobody expected, and it is causing a major stir in the family. Honestly, I don't even know where to start. It feels like everything we thought we knew about the Browns' property dynamics is being flipped upside down. Okay, so here is what is happening. Janelle has officially filed legal documents claiming ownership or at least partial rights to Coyote Pass. And this is sparking serious tension not just between her and Cody but also among the other wives. Things are about to get messy, and you are probably wondering, why now? Why would Janelle take legal action after all these years? Stick with me because we're going to break it all down, piece by piece, and trust me, the truth might shock you. Hey besties, welcome back to the channel. So, if you've been keeping up with Sister Wives, you know things have been tense with the Browns lately, but the latest news about Coyote Pass is next level drama. So today we're diving into Janelle's legal action, the secrets surrounding property ownership, and what this could mean for the family dynamics. And trust me, this is one of those stories where you think you know the full picture. But there is way more happening behind the scenes than the cameras ever show. We're going to unpack it all, from the legal filings to Cody's possible reactions, to what the other wives might be thinking, and even some theories about why Janelle decided to finally take this step. So grab your snacks because this one is going to be a wild ride. And of course, if you enjoy getting the inside scoop on Sister Wives and the drama nobody's talking about, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and click the bell so you never miss an update. Alright, so here's the theory that is buzzing around the Sister Wives community. Janelle's legal action might not just be about the land itself. Some fans think that this is her way of finally asserting her independence from Cody and the rest of the family hierarchy. Well, think about this. Coyote Pass isn't just property. It is legacy. It is status. It is control. By filing legal documents, Janelle could be sending a message that she is done playing by Cody's rules. And here is a part that is really interesting. A few sources say the timing may not be random. Apparently, other wives have been quietly maneuvering behind the scenes, and Janelle could be responding to power plays. Some people have said, well, Janelle just wants her fair share. And yeah, that is possible. But it also could be a signal to the family and to the public that she still has influence, she still matters in the larger Browns empire. And honestly, considering how property and inheritance have historically caused tension in this family, this move might spark more drama than any episode of Sister Wives we've ever seen. So let's break down what might be happening beneath the surface. Yeah. Okay, so let's take a step back and talk about Coyote Pass itself. For those who don't know, this property has been a point of contention for years. Cody and the wives each have their own complicated relationships with the land, not just as a home, but as a symbol of family legacy and authority. Janelle's history with Coyote Pass runs deep. She is invested in its upkeep, contributed to its management, and has always been vocal about her attachment to it. Over time, though, there have been whispers that Cody's favoritism towards certain wives has created tension over who really gets a say in its use. Now, here is where it gets interesting. Other wives have historically deferred to Cody when it comes to property decisions, even when Janelle has had valid claims or opinions. That kind of dynamic builds resentment over time. And some fans think this is exactly what pushed Janelle to take formal legal steps. And it is not just about the emotions. There are actual legal complexities at play here. Property titles, inheritance rules, and the family's multi-state holdings make Coyote Pass a complicated asset, which means Janelle taking legal action isn't just symbolic, it could have real consequences for how control is divided among the wives. So, when you look at the history, you can start to see why fans are calling this a game changer. This isn't just drama for television cameras. This is real, life family tension spilling over into legal territory. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about Janelle's motives. On the surface, it might seem like she is simply protecting her stake in Coyote Pass. But if you look deeper, there is a lot more going on, and it all ties back to the dynamics of control, respect, and influence within the Browns family. Janelle has always been one of the more outspoken wives. She has never been afraid to challenge Cody or question his decisions, and that tendency has occasionally caused friction with the other wives. But now, by taking legal action, she is signaling, that she is no longer willing to rely on family harmony or Cody's approval. She is essentially saying, I have a right and I am going to assert it. And let's pause for a second to think about how Cody might react to this. For years, he has maintained an image of control over the family, not just in how he manages the wives, but how property and inheritance decisions are made. If Janelle successfully claims ownership or partial ownership of Coyote Pass, it could undermine that image. Suddenly, Cody's control looks less absolute, and that changes the family dynamic entirely. Fans of the show have pointed out that property disputes are nothing new in the sister wives saga. In fact, any time there has ever been tension over land, it tends to highlight deeper issues: favoritism, unequal treatment, and sometimes even hidden resentments that have been building for years. Janelle's lawsuit only continues that pattern, except this time on a much more formal level. This isn't about feelings anymore. It is about legal recognition and tangible authority. Another way to look at this would be from the perspective of the other wives. Robin, Christine, Mary, even the newer members of this family, they all watch how Janelle takes care of this. Chances are some of them feel a mix of admiration and anxiety. Admiration that Janelle is finally taking a stand for herself, and anxiety in that this sets some sort of precedent. If one wife can claim legal rights, then maybe the others could too. Maybe this is what starts to unwind Cody's perfectly oiled hierarchy. And then there is the timing. Why now? This is where the theory part really comes in. Some fans believe Janelle waited until the stars aligned, which could be anything from receiving legal advice to finding weak spots in Cody's legal control over the property, or even a reaction to some specific incidents that ramped things up a notch. In any case, the timing makes this feel strategic, not impulsive. And we all know in the world of reality, television, and family drama, sometimes it is all about the timing. There is also a symbolic element here. Coyote Pass isn't just a plot point or a physical location. It is legacy, influence, and autonomy. The fact that Janelle would step into a legal fight over it says she is claiming more than land. She is claiming authority. She is saying she has a voice that matters, and she will not be sidelined in her own family. That is a statement. And within the context of sister wives, these kinds of statements carry way beyond any legal documents. Now onto the fan theories really taking off. One popular thought is that Janelle might be sending a message, not just to Cody, but to TLC too. Reality television exists on tension, conflict, and drama. By escalating this into legal action, Janelle has basically created a storyline that cannot be ignored. For some viewers, this is a ploy to regain narrative control, to ensure that her perspective isn't overshadowed by Cody's version of events. Now, here is the part that really adds layers to this story: the interplay between personal relationships and legal strategies. In the Browns' family structure, emotions are deeply entwined with logistics. Decisions about property aren't just about money. They're about trust, loyalty, and respect. So when Janelle makes a legal move, it doesn't just affect ownership, it shifts emotional balances. In an instant, everyone has to reconsider alliances, boundaries, and the unwritten rules that have dictated life in the family for years. Finally, there is one last thing: consider the broader implications. If Janelle succeeds, it may embolden other wives or family members to start asserting themselves in ways they haven't before. The way the Browns will handle property disputes in the future could be redefined, and it could even influence how the show depicts these dynamics. For viewers, that means more drama, unexpected twists, and opportunities to analyze and theorize. More of what we live for as fans. To put it in a nutshell, Janelle's action against Cody is far from a simple claim of ownership. It is a well-planned assertion of independence, authority, and respect. It questions the image of Cody in control, sets a potential precedent for other family members, and is also a major storyline for the cameras and viewers alike. And honestly, if you have been following the family for years, this is one of the biggest moves we have seen in a long time. There is still so much that we do not know. How will Cody respond? Will the other wives take sides? And most importantly, what does this mean for the future of Coyote Pass and the family as a whole? Okay, now let's talk about Cody's perspective. Historically, Cody has maintained a very controlled image of authority within the family when it comes to property and household decisions. He has always been the one calling the shots, deciding who gets what, and managing conflicts between the wives. Or at least trying to. But Janelle's legal action, that is a direct challenge to that control. So what might Cody be thinking right now? Some fans speculate he is frustrated, not just because he risks losing part of Coyote Pass, but because this move highlights cracks in his authority. For years, he has relied on loyalty, family deference, and the perception that he is the ultimate decision maker. If Janelle is successful, it publicly signals that his authority isn't absolute. And it is not just about ego. Cody's reputation on the show and with viewers is tied to how he manages the family. A legal battle makes him look less in control, less decisive, and potentially even divisive. That is a delicate balance for someone who has always tried to present a unified family front. Now, let's talk about the fallout with the other wives. Christine, Mary, and Robin have all witnessed property disputes before. Historically, they've either deferred to Cody or quietly expressed frustration. But this legal action forces them to take a stance. Will they support Janelle? Will they remain neutral? Or will they side with Cody to preserve their own positions in the family hierarchy? The tension is palpable. And then there is the public perception. Fans on social media are already buzzing with theories about alliances, hidden resentments, and family favoritism. Some speculate that Robin might quietly sympathize with Janelle, while others think Christine could see an opportunity to assert herself in future property discussions. In a family where every move is scrutinized, even small gestures can have ripple effects. Another angle here, given past patterns, Cody might try to negotiate behind the scenes rather than legally confront this. Historically, he has tried to avoid overt conflicts in favor of private discussions, hoping both to keep the peace and maintain control. But Janelle's filing puts everything on record. Suddenly, it is not just a private matter anymore. It is a formal legal action with permanent documentation. And that brings us to the question, how might this escalate? Legal action almost guarantees tension. Phone calls, meetings, and possibly courtroom appearances. This is the type of drama that reality television thrives on, but it also has real emotional consequences for the family. Cody has to manage his own response, the reactions of other wives, and the optics for viewers. So far, fans are split. Some are cheering for Janelle, calling her brave and independent. Others are critical, suggesting that legal action might fracture the family further. But here is the thing. No matter what the outcome, this move forces every family member to confront uncomfortable truths about power, authority, and loyalty. And that is exactly why this storyline is so compelling. And just to add a layer of context, remember that Coyote Pass isn't just a property, it has historically been tied to family identity, legacy, and even control over how the family's narrative is presented on the show. Losing or sharing ownership could disrupt Cody's long-standing narrative, which is part of why this is such a big deal. It is not just real estate, it is symbolic power. Okay, besties. Now let's dive into what Janelle might actually be planning with this legal action. And if you think it is just about filing paperwork and waiting, think again. This move could be incredibly calculated, blending legal strategy with family dynamics and public perception. First, let's talk about legal leverage. By formally filing for ownership or partial rights to Coyote Pass, Janelle creates a situation where Cody can't just ignore her claims. Suddenly, there is documentation, court deadlines, and official recognition that she has a stake. That puts pressure on Cody to respond thoughtfully, or risk losing credibility in both the family and with the courts. Next, consider timing and optics. Reality television families are always conscious of how viewers perceive them. Janelle's legal action comes at a moment where public interest in family dynamics is high. Fans have been speculating about favoritism, control, and property disputes for years. By filing now, she may be ensuring that her perspective gets attention, framing her as proactive and assertive rather than reactive or sidelined. And here's a theory that's been circulating. Janelle might also be using this move to create leverage in private negotiations. Legal filings don't always end in court. Often, they're tools to initiate discussions, to clarify boundaries, and to formalize agreements. Janelle could be signaling to Cody and the other wives that she's serious and expects a fair resolution, all while maintaining control over how the conversation unfolds. We also can't ignore the psychological aspect. This isn't just paperwork, it's a statement, By asserting her legal rights, Janelle reinforces her independence and reminds everyone that she's not just one of the wives who passively goes along with Cody's decisions. She's an equal stakeholder, and that shift in perception can influence family interactions, alliances, and even how the other wives position themselves. And then there's the public narrative. Reality television thrives on drama, and Janelle's filing ensures she's part of a major storyline. Fans and media outlets will analyze every detail: why she filed, what she's asking for, how Cody responds, and what this says about family dynamics. This move could potentially control the narrative, making sure her voice is heard, and not drowned out by Cody or anyone else. Now, let's theorize on potential outcomes. Janelle could aim for a negotiated settlement, where she maintains rights to the property without escalating the conflict. Or she could take it to court, creating a formal decision that clarifies ownership once and for all. Either way, she gains clarity and a stronger position, whether in the family or publicly. And don't forget influence over the other wives. By taking a firm stand, Janelle sets a precedent, quietly showing the others that asserting oneself is possible, even in a family structure traditionally dominated by Cody's authority. This could shift alliances, bring on subtle tensions, or even encourage other wives to rethink their places within the family. To sum it up, Janelle's is not a one-dimensional strategy. It is multi-layered: attorney leverage, public narrative, family power dynamic, and personal agency all in one. And believe me, by the time we get through the next couple episodes or social media posts, we're going to know just how effective this will be, and how this shakes up the whole Browns family. Okay, let's get into the fun part: how the other wives and family members might react outside of camera view. Because, let's be real, with a family like the Browns, every action causes ripples, and this legal move by Janelle is no different. First things first, Christine. For a long time now, she has been really cautious about openly going head-to-head against Cody, but has not held back when it comes to quietly asserting herself on matters that involve her or the family. Fans feel Christine might be watching Janelle closely, maybe even a little empowered, maybe worried that this will set a precedent for property disputes. Then there is Robin. Robin has pretty often been seen as the closest ally to Cody, especially in these later years. But here is the thing. Robin isn't just a passive player, she is strategic, and she knows this move from Janelle will shape the future and the legacy in terms of dividing property. Some fans think she might try to negotiate behind the scenes, protecting her interests while still keeping up the family image of harmony. And finally, Mary. The relationship that Mary has had for years with Cody and the family has been, to say the least, highly complicated. She has been pushed aside when it came to a decision on several fronts within the family. Fans theorize that this could feel like a warning or an opportunity. Warning that Janelle is flexing her muscles, or perhaps an opportunity to push for clarity with her own property rights. Whichever way it would be, it is tension that nobody wants to ignore. Now, what about the children? Older and younger kids, they're watching. Family dynamics shift when legal action enters the picture, and they're old enough to notice alliances, favors, and who has authority. Some children may feel caught in the middle, and that emotional impact can last long after a court decision is made. Fans on social media have also been dissecting subtle clues. Some speculate that body language in recent interviews, Instagram posts, and public appearances hints at unease or support from various wives. There are conversations, eye rolls, and quiet nods that can tell you more than a formal statement ever would. Another interesting theory is that Cody may attempt to use his relationships with the other wives as a buffer. By reinforcing alliances or reminding them of shared family narratives, he might try to isolate Janelle. But here is the thing: legal action changes the power dynamics. It is no longer just about Cody convincing the wives. Now there is a formal claim in play, which makes neutrality or siding with Janelle a more calculated choice. Finally, there is the public perception. Fans are already dividing into camps, those cheering Janelle on as brave and independent, and those critiquing her for potentially stirring family conflict. This division also impacts how the wives might respond, because no one wants to appear out of touch or unfair to viewers who follow the drama closely. So, the bottom line is that every action Janelle takes sends signals not just to Cody but to the rest of the wives, the children, and even the audience. And with property and family legacy on the line, these reactions could shape negotiations, alliances, and the overall narrative moving forward. All right, besties. Now we're getting into the juicy stuff, the legal side of Coyote Pass. And honestly, this is where things get really fascinating because there's more going on here than most. Fans realize property, inheritance, and family agreements in a polygamist household are anything but straightforward. First, let's talk ownership. On the surface, it might seem like Cody automatically has control because he purchased the land or managed it. But legally, that is not always the case. Depending on how titles were registered, whether wives contributed financially, or if there were prior agreements, Janelle could have legitimate claims. And that's exactly what her legal action is testing. Now, inheritance rules add another layer. In polygamist families, distribution can get very complicated. Who has a say if property needs to be divided? Are decisions made equally among wives? Or does Cody maintain ultimate control? In the past, things might have been informal, trust-based, or just assumed, but Janelle's filing brings all of that into the formal legal system. And suddenly, those informal assumptions are on the table for scrutiny. Here's a theory that's gaining traction among fans. Janelle might have discovered previously overlooked ownership clauses or loopholes that give her an advantage. That's the kind of detail that's invisible to viewers but incredibly powerful in a legal setting. If she leverages that correctly, she could solidify her stake and even influence decisions about how the property is used in the future. And let's not forget about joint management. If multiple wives have historically contributed financially or taken responsibility for maintaining Coyote Pass, courts could recognize their stake in different ways. That's huge because it's not just about the land, it's about control, autonomy, and legacy. Janelle could be setting herself up to have a voice in every major decision regarding the property moving forward. Another layer is the timing of this action. Some fans speculate that Janelle waited until certain legal windows opened, or until she had enough documented proof of her contributions, or maybe until Cody's influence over other wives appeared slightly weakened. Timing like this isn't random, it's strategic. And in a family where public perception is important, legal timing can be a game changer. It moves the family dynamic from unquestioned authority to negotiated authority. And that's huge in a family where hierarchy has always been controlled by Cody. And here's where it gets even juicier: ownership and inheritance secrets. Over the years, there have been whispers, small comments, social media hints, and interviews suggesting that the formal paperwork on some properties isn't as straightforward as the family portrays on television. Some fans theorize that Janelle had inside knowledge about these gaps, and that knowledge might be why she chose to file now. It's like she's quietly holding the keys to a part of the Browns' empire that no one else has fully acknowledged. Finally, think about the long-term impact. Legal recognition of ownership doesn't just affect property, it affects influence within the family, negotiations with other wives, and even public perception. If Janelle wins or even partially asserts her rights, she sets a precedent that could ripple through the entire Browns family, potentially inspiring other wives to assert themselves, or at least rethink their positions in Cody's hierarchy. Now let's talk about how this might play out on TLC, because in a family like the Browns, reality television doesn't just show what happens, it shapes how fans perceive every move, and Janelle's legal action that's going to be huge for public perception. First, consider how the cameras usually frame conflict. The show often emphasizes Cody's authority and the idea of a unified family, even when tensions exist. But legal action is hard to ignore. It forces a storyline that's formal, public, and undeniably serious. TLC can't edit this away, or make it seem minor. The audience is going to see the stakes, the drama, and the implications. Fans are already speculating about how episodes might depict this. Some think we'll see tense conversations, private meetings captured on camera, or even interviews where the wives share their perspectives. Others suggest that TLC might try to dramatize Cody's reaction, showing him as defensive or frustrated, which could sway public opinion. Now, public perception is another layer entirely. Social media is abuzz with theories, memes, and predictions. The fans have taken sides. Some rally around Janelle, praising her for standing up and claiming her independence. Others defend Cody on the basis of tradition, hierarchy, or family unity. That kind of polarized reaction is just the kind of engagement that makes reality television thrive. And here's a thought. Janelle's move could actually help shift how viewers see her, Cody, and the family in its entirety. For years, fans have debated who holds power, whose voice matters, and how the wives navigate Cody's authority. Now, with a legal filing in play, Janelle might emerge as a stronger, more autonomous figure. While Cody could appear less in control than ever before, it is also worth noting that reality television adores conflict with which it can relate. Property disputes, family tension, and power struggles are things that audiences can understand, even if the polygamy context is unique. Janelle asserting her legal rights ticks all those boxes, and it is going to generate a ton of conversation online. Some fans theorize that TLC might even lean into this as a central storyline for the next season, meaning interviews, commentary, and perhaps even dramatic reenactments. Cameras will capture subtle reactions from the other wives, eye rolls, body language, or private comments that reveal subtle alliances and tensions. And here is the kicker. The way TLC frames this could influence not just viewer perception, but how the family interacts moving forward. Public perception becomes part of family strategy. If viewers see Janelle as justified, other wives may feel pressure to support her or reconsider their positions. Alright, besties, now let's get into what the fans are saying. Because as we all know, social media is where the real drama explodes. And with Janelle's legal action over Coyote Pass, the theories and reactions are already wild. First off, a lot of fans are cheering Janelle on. They're calling her brave, independent, and finally standing up to Cody's control. Some are even saying this could be her power move, one that finally shifts the balance in her favor after years of navigating Cody's authority and the complicated family hierarchy. Then there's a group of fans who are more skeptical. They're questioning the timing, wondering if Janelle is leveraging TLC or using the cameras to her advantage. Others speculate that legal action might escalate tension unnecessarily and could backfire if it makes the family appear divided or contentious. And the theories? Oh, the theories. Some fans are suggesting that Janelle's filing is actually part of a long-term strategy to protect her legacy in the family. Others think she's setting the stage for future property negotiations, ensuring that if any other assets come up, she has a precedent to claim her stake. And then there's a theory that this is a subtle warning to Cody, signaling that she's not going to be pushed aside quietly anymore. Some viewers have even analyzed social media posts, interviews, and past episodes for hints. For example, fans have noted subtle comments about Coyote Pass in past interviews, things Janelle said about maintenance, ownership, or fairness. Those lines previously overlooked are now being interpreted as foreshadowing this legal action. It's fascinating to see how small details become pieces of a bigger puzzle in fan theory circles. Another interesting angle is how this impacts alliances. Fans are speculating about who might side with Janelle and who might stay loyal to Cody. Robin, Christine, and Mary all have histories that could influence how they react, and fans are dissecting past interactions to predict alignments. Every glance, comment, or minor disagreement gets analyzed as potential evidence of shifting loyalties. And, of course, the memes and social commentary are hilarious. From jokes about family squabbles to speculation on dramatic confrontations, fans are keeping the conversation alive 24/7. That's one of the reasons reality television families like the Browns remain so captivating. Viewers love to theorize, dissect, and predict every possible outcome. But here's the deeper point. Fan reactions aren't just entertainment. They influence how the family navigates the situation. If public opinion strongly supports Janelle, it could give her more leverage, not just legally, but also in negotiations with Cody and the other wives. The cameras capture it, social media amplifies it, and suddenly, Janelle's public perception becomes part of the family strategy. Alright, besties, now let's walk through the possible outcomes of Janelle taking legal action over Coyote Pass. Because depending on how this unfolds, the entire family dynamic could shift in ways none of them are prepared for. The first scenario is the cleanest one, a negotiated settlement. Basically, Janelle and Cody sit down, probably with lawyers or mediators, and agree on who owns what. This could mean Janelle officially gets her portion of the land, or she gets compensated for what she's put in. It avoids a courtroom showdown and keeps the matter within the family, but the emotional fallout could still be messy. The second scenario is a partial win. Maybe the court recognizes some of her contributions, but not all of them. That could force Cody to adjust future plans for Coyote Pass or change how he manages property decisions with the other wives. Even a partial acknowledgement strengthens Janelle's hand and sets a precedent that she's someone who can't be dismissed. Now, the third scenario is the nuclear one, a full legal battle. This would mean filings, hearings, public records, and a lot of scrutiny. The family has always been touchy about their image, and a courtroom fight would expose more than just property details. It would reveal financial contributions, agreements that the public never knew about, and possibly even internal conflicts the show hasn't covered. This is really the scenario Cody's probably fearing the most. Another possibility is that this sparks a wider ripple effect. If Janelle wins even a small victory, the other wives might start rethinking their own positions. Christine might revisit past investments, Mary could push for clarity about her assets. Even Robin could feel a shift in stability because anything that weakens Cody's authority affects her directly. There's also the long-term angle. If Janelle gets ownership rights or compensation, the way future decisions about the property are made changes. She could be involved in development, sales, or even blocking plans she disagrees with. It puts her on equal footing with Cody, maybe for the first time, in a way that can't be brushed aside with emotional arguments or family pressure. And of course, viewers are already imagining how each scenario might play out on screen. A settlement could be shown as a reconciliation moment. A partial win becomes a lesson in fairness and independence. A court battle that would be must-watch television, the kind of storyline TLC wouldn't dare downplay. But here's the thing that's easy to overlook. No matter how this ends legally, the family relationships will be changed. Once lawyers get involved, trust shifts, roles shift, influence shifts, and even if they patch things up publicly, everyone will remember who filed what, who took what side, and who supported who. Now, let's talk about the person who feels this storm the most. Cody, because no matter how you slice it, Janelle taking legal action hits him where it hurts. Not just financially, but symbolically. This challenges his authority, his decision-making, and the way he's defined himself in this marriage structure for decades. Cody has always presented himself as the head of the family, the planner, the one with the vision for Coyote Pass. In his mind, the land was his project, his dream, and the wives were supposed to follow that plan. But Janelle filing something official breaks that image. It signals that the era of him being the unquestioned leader is ending. One of the biggest blows here is public perception. Cody has spent years trying to maintain an image of stability, even when the family was falling apart. If viewers see him losing control of the land he's been talking about for years, it chips away at that confidence he tries so hard to project. And let's be honest, Cody is very aware of how he looks on camera beyond image. There's the practical side. A legal challenge forces him to confront things he's avoided: financial records, ownership documents, contributions that may not have been properly tracked. It pulls everything into the light, and Cody has always preferred operating in a space where he controls the narrative. And emotionally, this is where it gets messy. Cody sees challenges as betrayals. That's been a pattern with Christine, with Mary, and even with his older kids. So there's a good chance he interprets Janelle's move as another personal attack, instead of what it likely is, a woman protecting her future and her investment. If he reacts defensively, things could spiral fast. We've seen it before. The shutting down, the blaming, the dramatic monologues about loyalty, and a legal dispute only heightens those reactions. There's no way he can frame this as a misunderstanding or a minor disagreement. Now, how does this impact his relationships with the other wives? That's where things get even more interesting. Any crack in his authority puts pressure on the dynamic he has with Robin. She's been the one aligned with him the closest, but if Cody appears weakened or overwhelmed, she may even start to worry about how this affects her future stability. And think about the long-term implications. If Cody loses ground here, it could shift the entire power structure. For years, he held the financial cards. But a legal battle cracks that foundation. It could embolden the other wives. It could make the kids question him even more. It could be the start of a completely different chapter in the way this family functions. Here we are, the final part. And after everything we've walked through, the tension, the legal questions, the power shifts, the real question is what all this means for the future of the Brown family and the land that was supposed to represent their new beginning. Let's start with Janelle. No matter how the paperwork plays out, Shay's already taken a huge step forward. She's made it clear she won't be pushed aside or left uncertain about what she's earned. For years, she was the logical one, the planner, the wife who believed in Coyote Pass more than anybody. Now she's finally backing up that belief with action, and it changes how the family sees her, how the audience sees her, and how Cody is forced to deal with her. As for Cody, this becomes a turning point. If he tries to fight Janelle, he risks dragging their issues into the public record, opening the door to questions he doesn't want answered. If he cooperates, he has to admit he no longer has the control he once did. Either way, he's facing a reality where the wives no longer rely on him the same way they used to. The other wives will feel the impact too. Christine's already made her exit, and this only confirms she was right to protect her autonomy early. Mary may start reflecting on the years she invested compared to what she walked away with. And Robin, who has tied her future to Cody's decisions, will be watching closely. If Janelle gets clarity and recognition, it disrupts the balance that Robin has benefited from for so long. And then there's the bigger picture. Coyote Pass was meant to be the next chapter, the land where the family finally built the unity they talked about for years. But now it's become a symbol of what went wrong. The delays, the indecision, the disagreements, now capped off with legal action, show how far the family has drifted from the dream they once shared. But here's the twist. This could also be the start of something healthier. For the first time, everyone is being forced to step into reality. No vague plans, no emotional pressure, just facts, ownership, and accountability. Sometimes transparency is painful, but it's necessary for people to move forward with confidence. Fans are already buzzing about what this means for the show's next season, because no matter how the family handles it, this storyline is too big to sweep under the rug. The audience will want updates. They'll want reactions, they'll want to see who stands with who and how far everyone is willing to go to protect their future. And that's really what this boils down to, the future. Not Cody's dream. Not the illusion the show tried to keep alive. The individual futures of each person in this family who has given years of their lives to a structure that no longer fits them. So besties, whether Coyote Pass becomes a shared development, a split property, or a memory of what could have been, this moment will be remembered as a turning point. The moment Janelle stopped waiting for clarity and demanded it. The moment the family had to confront the reality beneath the surface. And the moment the sister-wives story began its next chapter, not built on promises, but on truth.